Hi, everyone. Welcome to Inspire to Run podcast. Today, we're here with Gina Myers with Incrediwear. Incrediwear is a company that offers wearable garments for sports performance and recovery. And we're so excited to have Gina here. Gina is known for her inner circle as Supergirl. She works, races, trains, cooks, and embraces every day with huge energy and a love for challenge and growth. She's a biomedical engineer, endurance athlete, and trained professional chef. Gina recently joined Incrediwear as a director of research after working in the biotech space after college and graduate school. She is thrilled to bring her bioengineering and sports background together at Incrediwear. Gina started doing triathlons when she was 16 and did her first Ironman at the age of 19. At 28 years old, she is now a 13-time Iron Woman and finished Ironman Coeur d'Alene 5 days before we're doing this recording for this episode. She advocates for women's inclusion and empowerment in sports and hopes her motivation and joy in endurance sports inspires others to find their own joy as athletes. Welcome to the show, Gina.
Thank you so much.
So, incredible background, incredible bio. Love the work that you've done at your company, plus your own personal journey. So, it's exciting to have you here to talk about this topic about, your journey and the work that your company does for our sports community. So, let's chat a little bit to get to know you and your journey, your fitness journey. Let's start there.
Yeah, definitely. I love talking running and sports and Incrediwear, so this is great. My running journey really started in college as I started to get inspired to see myself as an athlete and not as a separate entity from all those who I'd watched growing up pursue athletic endeavors. When I was 10, my dad did his first Ironman, and so I had watched year after year thousands of people doing this race and just thinking they weren't human, and they certainly weren't anything like me. And then when I started to do triathlons at the shorter distance and started to kind of bring this idea into my own mind that I could do these things, it was really empowering because you really realize that everyone has that journey where they go along thinking something's way out of their reach. And then all it takes is the first step towards doing that and achieving those goals.
I love that. I love that. The last part about what you said about something being out of someone's reach, I think a lot of people kind of go through that like, "Oh, I can't do that," or that's too far. A marathon or ultra marathon, that's too far. And, personally, I went through that. I'm still going through that. I started my own journey running 5Ks during cross country in high school, and then just not until the last few years started running half marathons, which I never thought I could do. And now I'm thinking about running my first marathon, potentially next year is the New York City Marathon. Something again, I was like that. I never could do that. So totally can resonate with what you said, and love to hear a little bit more about your journey and what that was like for you. Going from running and now you're a triathlete and doing Ironman. So what was that journey like for you?
Yeah, definitely. I had a very similar experience. When I first started trying to run, I couldn't run very far without stopping. I could barely run a mile. I had struggled with asthma growing up, and so it felt incredibly hard. That's just the best way I can describe it is wow, this is hard. And the more I practiced and the more I put in that effort, it was super rewarding and it got a little easier and I was able to go a little farther and I didn't worry about metrics or times or paces. I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to be out there running, challenging myself and doing something that I couldn't do before. And that journey really continues today where there's the 100-mile distance that I'm approaching at the end of this summer with a lot of fear and a lot of having a hard time believing in myself that I could even do that. But again, those challenges are what motivate me. And so it's really been that way every step of the process of saying, let's just do the next thing, see how well I can do that, see if I can run that far and maintain, healthy outlook and a healthy body and mind. And just kind of there's always something more to reach for in running, which I love too. You can run farther, you can run faster, you can run happier. And so there's a lot of goals that I look to along my journey, but it's absolutely something that continues for me.
Yeah, for sure. And as they say, it's your race, your pace. So I like what you said about not having to worry about the time or the distance, and you're really just, accomplishing those new goals or milestones. And the three pillars that we talk about here in the podcast around mindset, movement, and motivation. And you're talking a lot about your mindset, how you're motivated to do things that you've never done before and take on these challenges. But I'm sure it's not easy to do. So like, what are you telling yourself, or what are you doing to push yourself beyond that fear and achieve these new milestones?
A lot of it is excitement, just having that personal excitement that where if something is scary, it means it matters a lot to you. And a lot of it is the community. So if you know people who run 100 miles or 200 miles, which a friend of mine is doing this summer, it feels a bit more achievable because you can go on a 5 mile, 10 mile run with them and run the same pace. And so then they don't seem as different as you. So just kind of having that community to feel more a part of it and make it more accessible. And then a motto I actually have developed recently is just to be present. And that my motto is present is perfection, or present is perfect. And so it's really just taking it one step at a time, 1 mile at a time. It's too hard mentally to, at the beginning of a 100K or 100 mile race, be thinking about the end or be thinking about what might happen throughout, and really just taking it one step at a time. And I think that's how a fitness journey can feel for a lot of people as well. It's too daunting, it's too intimidating to worry about the endpoints or the goals before you're there. And really just embracing that present along the way is so beautiful and so powerful. And that's been really motivating for me.
100%. Totally love what you said. And, again, thinking about my own journey, just that 1 mile at a time really makes a difference. Because if you're thinking about that, the 5 miles you have to run or the 10 miles, then that's going to be harder for you mentally because that's all you're going to be thinking about. But if it's that next mile, then you're focused on other things to get you, to that mile. Or maybe the training you have to do the next day or the race that you have to do next week, just really kind of being present and focusing on what's in front of you. I love that. So, tell me a little bit about, some of the races that you've done and what your experience was like, doing those, maybe the
Oh, wow.
Ironmans or the other races.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk Ironman all day, I can talk ultra marathons all day, but my first ultra marathon was a 50 miler in the headlands north of San Francisco in Marin County. And I had lived there for about a year at the time and had gone into this amazing community of ultra marathon runners. And we just go out for these fantastic adventure runs on the weekend, 5, 6 hours, and just new trails all the time, having a blast. My dog would come along. So those are really special days, and I just felt such a part of the community. And I remember feeling really great in that race. And what was so fun was every kind of mile that would go by after about 20 or 30 miles, I was like, I've never run this far. But also, I had an achievable amount left to run. I remember thinking, I've run 40 miles so far and I only have 10 to go. I can do a 10-mile run. So obviously it was hard, but it was fun to kind of process through and just be amazed at the novelty of an experience like that. And I remember when I crossed the finish line, just kind of jumping up and down saying, I love this. I want to do another one. And it's not every race that you have an experience that fun. A lot of times they're hard, or there are challenges that come along, or you don't meet your goals, and they can be really tough mentally and physically. But that one really stands out as my mind as super special just because I was so in it and it was really fun along the way.
Love it. Love it. So, follow on question. What would you say was the biggest obstacle that you faced in your fitness journey, and how'd you overcome it?
There are many. I think, especially as a woman, there's a lot of challenges around a healthy body image and a healthy relationship with food. That's something that luckily I've been pretty lucky with, but there's also a lot of challenges with injury and staying healthy as you pursue these huge endurance endeavors and not being a professional or having a background in knowing how to do that. So, probably the biggest physical challenge I faced was a bad stress fracture in my hip. And that took me out of running. I was on crutches for 13 weeks and I really had a mentally tough time with that, just reevaluating kind of who I was. I think I had gotten so wrapped up in my identity as a runner that when I couldn't run, I felt pretty lost. And so I had to reconnect with other things in my life and other things that were important to me. And also remember that I was still a runner going through an injury rather than not a runner because I wasn't running daily. And so as I've worked through other more minor injuries in the years since, I usually remind myself that and use it to encourage others as well.
Yeah, that's probably a runner's biggest fear of getting injured and being sidelined. So I appreciate you sharing that, and that's real, right? It happens, and I love your mindset in terms of how you work through that challenging time. So Gina, thank you so much for sharing your personal story. I love this. We're going to talk about this some more, and I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about Incrediwear because I think your active lifestyle kind of led you to where you are today at Incrediwear. So, if you share with our listeners kind of how you came about the company and where you are today.
It's a great story. I was out skiing one day. I live up in Lake Tahoe, and so there's amazing skiing here in the winter. And I was skiing on a weekday, and during the weekdays, the ski areas are really quite empty. And so I usually look for people to ride the chairlift with because I get a bit lonely. And so I like to have the company, have a good conversation, learn something new, have an interesting chat. And I ended up riding the chairlift on that day with a fascinating person who happened to be the founder and CEO of Incrediwear, who at the time was looking for a bioengineer to run the research program. And all it took was one chairlift ride. We really connected. And 2 months later, I was with the company.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I mean, just the power of networking and power of being out there and having conversations with people. Just look at the opportunities that it opens up. That's really cool.
I remember at the end of that chairlift ride thinking that was one of the most life-changing runs up the ski mountain that I'll have in my entire life for sure.
I don't know what I've been missing out. I'm afraid of skiing personally, but I don't know if it opens up opportunities. That's a good recommendation for folks if you're looking to network. Get out there and ski. But that's super cool. So let's talk about Incrediwear. So Incrediwear helps athletes in terms of their recovery, and this is an area that I'm very interested in, especially as I'm becoming more, I guess, as an endurance athlete. And recovery is a really important component to your fitness journey. It's your training, it's your nutrition, and it's an area that you probably don't think about as often is recovery. So, tell us a little bit about what Incrediwear offers and kind of the philosophy behind the solutions for our athletes.
I'd love to. Incrediwear makes wearables and they help people live incredibly. And that is our motto, but I see it on an everyday basis with the people who we work with. So, the fabric that the wearable garments are made out of is embedded with semiconductors. And when you put on Incrediwear, the heat from your body activates the semiconductors. And the mobile electrons within those semiconductor elements start to do some very exciting things for the body. The fabric, therefore, has these two biologically active properties. The first is that it releases infrared waves, and the second is that it releases negative ions. So, the infrared waves that are emitted are in the mid and far infrared spectrum. The waves are transdermal, meaning they pass through all four layers of the skin. And from there, they can actually penetrate up to several inches into your tissue. It depends on the tissue type. So, more dense tissues, including bone and fat, won't be able to penetrate as far as something like muscle or blood. But the amazing thing is that the absorption spectrum of your body's intracellular water falls in the same spectrum of the waves that are emitted by Incrediwear, about 4 to 20 micrometers. So these infrared waves, they're biologically active, they augment biological processes and can do some really amazing things for recovery and performance. I'll get to that. I want to touch on the negative ions, which is the other thing that Incrediwear emits. So these are absorbed by your skin. They enter the body, they interact with your blood cells, your tissues, and your organs. They improve circulation, they improve immune function, they augment cellular activity, as well as oxygen transport, and they improve blood flow. What's really cool is they also alter ion channel function. And this is basically the body's way of regulating everything. It's called homeostasis. So if you can improve ion channel function, you're going to improve the natural healing and recovery processes that your body is already trying to go through. So together, the negative ions and the infrared waves of Incrediwear improve circulation, and that's of blood flow and lymph flow. And that enables you to have improved oxygen and nutrient transport delivery to tissues that need it. So, tissues that are damaged after exercise or injury need that oxygen and those nutrients to heal. You have less swelling, which is super important because the immune system can get overactivated. And you also have upregulation of key biological molecules, improving cell membrane and ion channel functions. And then altogether, these accelerate the body's natural healing and recovery processes. So, Incrediwear is a natural anti inflammatory, a way to reduce fatigue, reduce metabolic acidosis in muscles, and improve the scavenging of free radicals, which occur with a lot of stress to the body, usually after exercise. And what's so cool is that there are no risks or side effects associated with using Incrediwear. So it's natural, it's safe. I wear it almost 24/7 if I can.
Oh, that's super interesting. And, this is an area that I'm learning a lot more about, and especially the technology that you have, and which is a key differentiator from your technology, maybe from other performance type of solutions that are available. And it sounds, from what you said, it sounds like it's faster recovery, and it's faster recovery in terms of how you feel, or faster recovery. Does it also enhance the recovery, like of your
Mhm.
muscles, as an example? I'm probably going to ask some really basic questions here so I can understand better.
No, that's great. And it's actually both. So we have research looking at people's perceived recovery. So how sore are their muscles? What is the extent of delayed onset muscle soreness or DOMS after an Ironman or after a running event? And we find that they report lower DOMS. We also have used surface EMGs, which is electromammography, to test muscle activity after a VO2 max test on a treadmill. And we did this with with elite professional soccer players in Finland. And what we found with them is actually 20%, up to 20 to 30% reduced muscle load after they slept in Incrediwear compared to the placebo Incrediwear, which shows us that there's both a perceived improved recovery and a biological metric that's being changed by the Incrediwear through what the semiconductors do in the body.
Okay. Okay. So that's great to know. And, we're talking to the running community here. So maybe we could focus a little bit on what would we use as runners? In terms of what Incrediwear offers? Like if I run 5Ks, half marathons, and hopefully one day marathons, what would I use as a endurance runner?
I think anything that you feel you want to help improve recovery, if you have pain in the area, that's where you want the Incrediwear. And so I, as a runner, wear the socks. I wear them while I'm exercising. I also wear them afterwards just to hang around the house. They make my feet, and we have taller socks that can really make your calves and ankles feel great as well. If you are susceptible to ankle injuries, we have an ankle sleeve that's really great. It's not tight, it's not compressive, so it's not going to cut off the blood flow, which you need for recovery and for healing. And then the really awesome thing that I love to recommend to athletes are leg sleeves. So they're kind of like pants, but they just go from your ankle to your hip. And I sleep in them every night because that's actually when the bulk of your healing does take place, is when your blood pressure and heart rate drops. You start to really get the benefit of all your body's natural healing processes. So you want Incrediwear right there alongside you to help with that.
Okay. Okay. That's really interesting. And, it sounds like, based on the benefits it provides, I want to wear this either while I'm exercising or after I'm exercises. I don't want to necessarily wait till I have a problem, right? If my knee is bothering me, or I just feel like I have like these maybe other challenges, that's when I should decide to wear it. It sounds like I should be thinking about these type of solutions for just even my normal day-to-day workouts and races.
Ideally, yes. Yeah, you would want to prevent issues before they become out of control or something that's going to put you on the sidelines from what you love to do. And I think something that I've been kind of pondering lately is how do you actually improve performance? And a way to improve performance is to prevent injury, because if you're not injured and you're recovering really well, you'll be getting after it that much better every day, regardless of what distance you're training for or what your goals are. Not being injured and recovering really well is just the best feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And unfortunately, it's, I don't know if I'd say a little out of sight, out of mind, but if you're not injured and you're feeling okay, you probably don't think about these things. So I'm just wondering, this is a really great topic for us to bring to our community, because if you're just getting started running, or you're along in your journey and everything is going great, that's great. Let's keep it that way. And it sounds like having this kind of performance gear is going to help you kind of along your journey.
Absolutely. And Incrediwear is a piece of the puzzle. So it's another aspect of having really good nutrition, doing your mobility and your PT exercises, recovering as you should otherwise, not having excessive stress in other aspects of your life that can spill over into your sports goals. What I love about Incrediwear is that it's so comfortable. I like to wear it all the time and it lasts forever. You can wash it, you don't wash out the semiconductors or the activity. So, really, they've just become a normal part of my everyday wardrobe.
That's a great point, and I didn't even think about that, kind of given the technology. And I have an electronics background. That should probably have been one of the first questions: is how do I wash and how do I keep it clean? So that's wonderful that you don't have to worry about that, and it just goes with your normal laundry.
Hmm.
Super cool. All right. That's really great. I really appreciate you sharing that. And you mentioned other things that runners should think about other than, wearing this performance gear as a part of their recovery. So just to kind of reiterate some of the things you said about nutrition. And you also mentioned PT. I assume when someone does run into some issues, making sure that you get it checked out, early and get working on it early. And what are some of the other tips that you would recommend for someone, you know, a, as part of their recovery to make sure that they get the optimal benefit for their training?
Hmm. Absolutely. I think one of the most important things is nutrition. You can train as well as possible, but if you don't have nutrition, that's almost pointless. So, getting adequate and sufficient nutrition. I think there's a little bit of culture in the running community around trying to eat less or of a certain body type or weight, and you're really hampering your ability for growth and strengthening of your muscles and tendons and bones if you're starving yourself of those nutrients. So, especially for women, but men as well, it's super important to get a lot of protein and to make sure you're fueling throughout a workout, but also immediately after a workout. You don't want to wait for more than 30 minutes to have a lot of easily digestible, bioavailable protein. I usually do a big smoothie because that's the easiest for me to have, and it has about 70 to 80 grams of protein in it. I have that first thing after my workout in the morning, and then fueling a lot throughout the day with fruits and vegetables and grains. I'm vegetarian, so I do a lot of tofu and beans and things like that. So nutrition is huge, and I'm super passionate about that because I love to cook. And then the other thing is just everything that you're doing physically for yourself other than running. So, are you doing core exercises? Are you doing plyometrics or explosive or isometric leg exercises? What else are you doing? Are you swimming for recovery, going for hikes, things like that? Because the body is going to respond to everything you're doing when you're not running as well. And so it's important to be thoughtful about areas that could become an issue, maybe weak hips and doing those exercises. So I try to work in a regular strength routine as well. And that helps so much, especially in the later stages of long races, to feel like, wow, I'm really tired, but I know I'm strong and my core is holding me up. So I have good posture and my back is strong and my hips are strong, and just feeling that all come in as support when you're getting really tired.
100%. And I love that you're sharing that in terms of nutrition as well as the importance for strength training. And we've had those topics, on the podcast. And what you're saying is really reinforcing the need to do those things because, it's really easy to skip a lot of what we're talking about here. It's, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get my run done and then I'm done. And then you're not, right? You have to do some of these other things, especially as you progress in your journey. I think probably early on, maybe not, you could probably get away with certain things, probably not nutrition number one from the start, but there's some other things that you could probably get away with a little bit, but definitely need to start to build in the right habits and incorporate this into your routine.
Agreed.
Yeah. Wonderful. So super informative. I love this conversation. I've learned a lot about recovery. I learned a lot about, what Incrediwear does and offers and the philosophy and the technology. So I appreciate you sharing that and how it's different from maybe other options out, that's available for runners and endurance athletes. So that's great to kind of hear some of the science behind your product. So, you know, tell me what's next for you as an athlete and what's next for Incrediwear?
Well, what's next for me is actually, I've shifted my mindset to more of a long term health approach. And so I don't want to just get to the next starting line. I want to get to those starting lines 10, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and be feeling great and have a longevity approach to my training. And so that's been really just fun to focus more on taking care of myself and making wiser choices. So, one of my big goals for this year is my first 100-mile trail race. It's in the mountains of Colorado in September. And like I said at the top, I'm kind of terrified, but also super excited. And I know for me, if something scares me, it means it's exciting and it's a big goal and it matters a lot. And so I'm really looking forward to that and just doing weird training, like going out at 8 p.m. for 6 hours to practice night runs and all kinds of fun stuff. So it's going to be a really fun journey. And I have an incredibly beautiful place up here in Tahoe to train. So I'm so thankful for that. And then as far as where Incrediwear is going, really our goal is to just keep helping people, keep getting the word out and expanding and growing. We are helping everyone from surgical patients to recover from a variety of surgeries by reducing swelling and improving their range of motion, getting them back to what they love to do faster. We work with all sorts of pro athletes in this country and around the world, helping them achieve their goals, stay off the sidelines and play more, reduce injury. And then everyone in their everyday lives as well who has some issue, maybe from their past or their present, that they don't want to have to deal with as much. And Incrediwear can just help so much with those everyday things. New grandparents to the kids that they're caring for. We even have a new kids line coming out. So it's really touching people in all aspects of life and all around the world. And so for me as the director of research and being able to run this research program, it's just so fun because Incrediwear has an incredible range of applications and I get to dig into the science and understand how it works and what it can help people for.
Love it. Love it. Well, I'm rooting for you for your upcoming 100-mile race and for all the great things that Incrediwear is going to do in the future. Gina, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this with our community. So, kind of as we wind down here, how can our listeners find and follow you, your journey online, as well as Incrediwear?
Well, it's easy to find and follow Incrediwear through our website, and it's sold in many stores all around the country. Probably easiest to order online, though. And as far as following my journey, that's actually something that we're working with Incrediwear to help make that more public because I'm currently not a big social media person. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll have a link by the time the episode airs.
Love it. Love it. All right. Well, at the very least, we'll put in the information so folks can find Incrediwear. And Gina, really looking forward to following your journey. Thank you so much again for coming on the show. And, with that, have a great day.
Oh, thanks to you. It was an absolute pleasure.